City, remind us the day's proverb.
Bread ilikuwa imekamata lock.
Kabisa.
Iliwekwa chini kama
If a rich man who does not know himself is worth less than a poor man who does.
A rich man who does not know himself is worth less than a poor man who does.
Yes.
And Alfred, you told us it's all about your potential.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Knowing what you are.
Yeah.
If you know what you are, even if you're a weak person, you at least are working on your weaknesses so that you can improve. If you are a strong person and you don't know what you are, bure kabisa. Bure kabisa. Okay. As we're going to the break, you were telling us about, what happens to members of parliament in our politics and how our parliament just becomes completely emasculated by the executive. It's supposed to be oversighting the executive, but then it just becomes subservient to the executive. And that appears to be the nature of our politics now, Alfred. Why is our politics appearing to go this way?
Because, you see, when we have a leadership that have no integrity and they have no, maybe, a calling, is not what you speak on the promises that you make when you're campaigning. It's about something that are driving you, that you want to make a difference. And if you lack that, or sometimes you can have that, but because of the circumstances and the background, I've told you, there are members of parliament who have never been to Nairobi. They were brought to National Assembly or to Nairobi through an election. They've never been here. They've never gone abroad. The first time they took a flight is when, after getting into parliament, then they have some seminar abroad, some workshops, which, if we were to interrogate, it's part of the austerity measures that we must address. Is it really necessary to go to Singapore every time to look at what they do? And you come back. Yesterday, I saw news somewhere coming from an ambassador, the US ambassador to Kenya. And she was asking a very fundamental question. Why are we importing peanuts instead of producing, growing, and supplying within even the region, exporting into the region? When someone is trying to explain about this housing, they are saying, this housing will create employment. That's one of the things they are saying. Is it the only way of creating employment? If I were to put it this way, if I were to sit as a president, official opposition is the alternative of government. If you were to give me an opportunity to explain and demonstrate what prudent leadership should do, given an opportunity to sit in those offices, you should not be seen to be advocating for building houses on the basis of you want to create employment. If you want to create employment, create sustainable employment, like putting up factories, which it will not only attract the same, they are saying because of the building materials they're getting from whatever, the same factories need the same materials. And then the factory, when you complete, the employment starts. It's not like the house. When you're building your house, for example, if a city were to ask you, when you're building your house, the moment it was complete, all the employees left.
Completely.
Yeah. But you see, for a factory, it starts. And it affects the entire sector of the economy. It is when it will you will employ someone that is growing the raw materials from the farms. And the economy of growing raw materials is an entire economy. It employs so many people. The ones who have the machines, the ones who supply seeds, the ones who supply insecticides, herbicides, and all the chemicals that are used in the farms, and many other things. And then there is the transport as an employment, as an opportunity to the factory. And then after getting to the factory, the work starts. There are many employees in this factory. After there is an end product, there is also transportation to the markets. They are the marketers. They are the businessmen who are supplying them. And some of these raw materials can improve on our foreign exchange because we can export. Let me tell you something that
as opposition leader, what is it that you would say if you are given the opportunity to be the president? What would you have done to make sure that then we are attracting investment that starts factories?
The first thing that you should do is to ask yourself, why are we not having investors in this country? And this is the country that is known for very cheap labor globally. And that's why we are exporting them, which is something that I want to interrogate maybe later on in terms of a president pronouncing on live TV that is advocating for Kenyans to go to Uganda, not just Uganda, to go to Saudi Arabia, to go to UK, even our nurses, experienced nurses, which it is documented by statistically that we have less of our medical, practitioners in our health facilities. But I just want to explain this bit of what were you going to do if you were to be the president. The first thing that you do is to address the challenges of investors coming here, which is the cost of power. Bring down the cost of power. Bureaucracies. Why are you applying about 40 licenses? For what purpose? I have one license, which is NEMA. It has all those other, incorporate all these licenses into one. You understand? Reduce the bureaucracies of investors coming here. Number 3, security. We don't have good security here. Most people don't come here because of insecurity.
Really?
Yeah. We have challenges to do with insecurity. As you speak, there is a red alert by the Americans that all those Kenyans in Nairobi, stick to your houses.
Because doctors are going on strike.
But there are many challenges, these strikes and stuff. So we need to address all these things so that when you have an environment, and I have a clear vision, if I were to sit as a president, myself like today, the first thing that you need to do is to avoid lazy thinking. Where you go and say, the diesel that we use in a year, in actually 6 months, is about 1 billion liters of diesel, 1.3 billion actually, and then about 1 billion liters of petrol. Then you say, I want to get money here. Now let me increase VAT by 8%. 8% of that comes to this. That is lazy thinking. Good thinkers, like the ones in Singapore, in Malaysia, in Norway, in Scandinavia, the entire Scandinavia, the first world country is not America. The rich countries is not America. America has the world's largest economy, but it is not the richest country. Those richest countries, Denmark and Norway, Finland, Sweden, those countries, they do things that are beyond. Even the president here in Dubai, it was not out of lazy thinking to imagine they had oil, which it perished long time. They've got money to invest on tourism, which is artificial tourism. They don't have what we have here. In this Kenya, the potential that we have in this country, if you were to talk about the Mara alone, you can't compare with the entire Dubai. The Mara, the wildebeest crossing the Mara, which is one of the wonders of the world. Are we attracting enough tourism to bring dollars to this country? So if you are to generate more income, because they normally say, I had even the PS yesterday telling you that government has only 2 ways of either tax and what? Loans. That is lazy thinking. Bring in more. It is true to a larger extent, but it is wrong this way to imagine that you can tax Eric.
You'll only tax
to finish
domestically.
Okay. You have to widen the scope of getting more resources here, export more coffee, export more tea.
Mheshimiwa, let me ask you this question. Even as you say, what you say makes sense. And it is true, because it is proved to be true by evidence of countries that have followed the method that you're saying. But are we saying that the president doesn't understand these things? We have advisors, and when you look at the list, these are people who know they know the onions from their leeks. They're not some bumbling citizens who are trying to figure out what to do or what to know. They know, and these advisors exist in almost every sector of this economy.
But can I ask you a question?
They know.
Let me, City, when you see advisors coming up with a bottom-up approach, which to date, nobody has ever explained how it works. And I want to just pose a question here. Do you know how it works?
Yes,
Have they ever explained how does it work?
Actually, I know how it works. You see, the very thing that you've described, without giving it a label, when you create an economic situation that allows for a larger circulation of money, you are spurring economic activity.
Yeah.
Now, when you spur economic activity and you continue giving it that enabling environment, the very growth that we're talking about then happens. employment is created. All these things that you're saying, because there's more money, so you can tax more. Now, it starts, that is a bottom-up approach.
No, but let me explain this, City.
Yes.
My understanding to bottom-up approach
Yes.
was like you address from below. You see, because it has been happening that way. If you want to widen, you don't just address the common wananchi. In fact, to me, it is the other way around. If you want to change this country, like, we are not in the moon. I've been asking these people. We have success stories of many other different countries. Go to Singapore and ask yourself, what they did what? Or even Dubai. Dubai is attracting a lot of investors. The key thing is to have this investor to have the power to handle the needs of this.
But, Mheshimiwa, I don't know why we even go to Singapore. Why don't we just go to Rwanda?
Rwanda, yeah. Rwanda is even attracting Kenya's investors.
Why are we going to Singapore?
Yeah,
why are we going to where?
We are going far.
Yeah, let's go to Rwanda. Even go to Tanzania.
Yeah.
Okay? These are our neighbors. And look at what they are doing.
Even Ethiopians.
Yes, exactly.
Imagine even after they were not colonized, they have but they are moving forward.
Yes.
Their airline is better than ours, by far. Ethiopian airline is better than KQ. But let me get back to what you were saying. I believe if I was to sit as a president of this republic, Kenya, which I love so much, because even the interest now, I'm not a state officer. I'm not answerable to anyone. I'm a private citizen. I should be asking questions. But the reason why I'm coming loud is because we are losing our country. And I believe this country has a lot of potential. Look at it this way. Even on food security, we don't have food security here. What we have is just a mess that we are waiting for the harvest to feed. Serious countries with food security, they can go on war for 50 years and they have food.
They still have food.
What I'm saying, look at Israel, a desert. And Israel, for your information, is the size of my county, Nandi. Baringo is bigger. Even Wazingishu is bigger than Israel. But they produce food to the extent of even supplying us food when we're in need.
Okay.
What is happening in this country that we cannot produce even enough food for ourselves, leave alone for exports? Even the peanuts they are saying it's not enough for our country. We should actually produce excess to export. So my clear vision, the first thing that any president should do when you win an election, it starts. It's an end to them, most of them, because they want to enrich themselves. But if you want to serve the people, what you do when you sit as a president, there are only 4 things that you should do. And I'll give it how it should be done. The first, most important, is to create employment. Creating employment and producing more food and producing more things to export. We reduce on imports.
Yeah.
Because that is what brings the foreign exchange, so that you have a stronger currency. The more you export and less imports, that is it informs on the strength of our Kenya shillings. Then, having done that, you will raise a lot of revenue. If you were to deal even with coffee, it can make this country a tiger, a fast one. Tea can make this country, macadamia, even the avocados, and the many others. There are many nuts and many like macadamia and many others. Even the flowers. The flower industry is huge. The Western world, their needs are different. And I see people comparing us when they are talking about housing. These are people who want to have flowers every morning. As we can not even afford a bread. And you want to compare
So
ourselves.
employment is number one. Number two?
One. Number 2, once you have that employment, it will mean you have what? You have addressed the issue of security. Most of the security that you see in Kenya is because of lack of employment. And I want to explain this. If you go to other countries like the first world countries I've spoken about, you leave your phone anywhere with your wallet, with dollars and euros. You will find it wherever it can be taken to police station, then you get it.
Which country is this? I want to go there.
Go to Norway. Not to US. US, even in some other places, you can find such so good.
Yes.
But I'm talking about Norway.
Yes.
Go to Denmark. Those are the serious countries where your phone, even in Japanese, the Japan, when you go to Japan, the same thing. You lose your phone. So what employment,
security, sorts out income, sorts out.
Once you solve the income, it means you have enough money to put up infrastructural facility, and you've addressed security. Once you put up good infrastructural facility, and then you have security, then you attract tourism, because you cannot have tourists coming to a country that is insecure. You must address security. Then you pump into security, to tourism. When you market your tourists, they will come here in magnitude of millions.
I have to ask you the question I asked you earlier on. Are we saying that those who are in government right now don't understand this?
They don't. Look at their team. You know, in 2022, immediately William Ruto and the team formed their cabinet. I asked people, this is a flop.
Why?
And they were asking me why. I challenged them. At that time, there was a World Cup in Qatar. And I told them, you know what? Very good soccer fans already know who will win. To an extent, who will go to semis and finals.
Top three at least.
Yeah, because of what? The squad. What is their team made of? You understand? The moment William Ruto gave out this cabinet that we have now, I know it was a done deal. It was a done deal.
Relegation.
Yeah. You've understood? It's clear.
No, me, I actually haven't.
No, I've answered your city. I've answered your question partly. That it's not just that they don't know, but if you look at the team, look at the entire team, and I'm telling you, even the challenges that we had in Uhuru government, the people who used to defend the corruption scandals in NYS is made up of this cabinet. The people who used to defend the railway, and they're actually the first ones to come and say, we want to expose the scandal. We went even on national TV with one of them, the current minister in charge of transport and infrastructure. We went on national TV, Jeff Koinange live, to interrogate this issue of where I was doubting the railway. And he was defending it that time. The entire cabinet is rotten to the core. And that is why we have this challenge. You cannot succeed in the day I become president. If Kenyans were to allow me to be president, the first thing that you need to do, it's not about your brains which will move this country forward. It is your determination and the will, the drive to change this country. And then the team that you form will now intervene to the challenges that we are facing, and then we move. I have explained to you, Eric and Ndu and City. You've seen my roadmap. The first thing, create employment.
Okay, let's talk about a collective citizen responsibility when it comes to dissatisfaction in the way an administration is running the country. We've seen this, and oftentimes the question is, how do you then keep your leaders to account? How do you then say, hold on a minute, the things that you told us that you were going to do, you actually didn't do? Because I hear you. I mean, as from what you're saying, that's the reason why you want to be in the opposition, the leader of the opposition, to keep people in check. Over the last couple of weeks, we've seen, and this is one of the ways it's voiced, that if the administration goes to one place or another, the executive travels, we've seen heckling, we've seen people voicing, and it's agitation, it coming out and saying, actually, no, we are not okay. Things are too expensive. We don't feel that the plan that you had set out for us is working. What we've seen as a result of that is threat of arrest and, you shouldn't do this. There's a certain level of respect that should be demanded for the seat of the president. How else should people project? How else should people try to at least show that they're not satisfied with the status quo? What are your thoughts about that?
First and foremost, I would like to say, I don't like when I see the president is losing his status, the respect that the office demands. I'm one of the people who is against that. But I want to explain that this presidency, again, is part of the reasons why people are heckling them. And I want to explain. Like in Bomet, when they went to Meru, they went and launched Mitungu Technical Training Institute, which was in operational for the last 8 years. It started in 2014-15. It was operational from 2014-15, and you are launching it in 2023. Number two, when they went to Bomet, there was a road called Kiogong, Sigor and Chebunya Road. They were launching. For the what time? The fourth time.
What do you mean?
Uhuru launched it. They are moving to different places thinking that
What is launching?
They launch like they're starting. It's a new project.
No, I thought launching is when
it's completed.
And now your operation.
I declare it open and
yes.
operational.
There are several ways. There is groundbreaking,
Yes,
which is
that's
now at the very
starting.
beginning.
What they were doing was groundbreaking, actually. They launched the ground. Yeah, that's what they call. We are launching a project, but they're actually groundbreaking.
No,
it was groundbroken in
By Uhuru.
2015. or 2016, I don't remember well. Then again, Ruto went there. Let me tell you.
And broke the ground.
Uhuru went to a place called Sigor, which is part of that road. You know the road, of course, it moves.
It's a long road. How many
Yeah,
kilometers?
it's a long road. I don't know the number of kilometers.
But where does it's from where to where?
It is from Siogong to Sigor to Chebunyo. Like you're going to Mara. You understand? It is in. It is partly. It is in Chebalungu constituency.
It's in Chepalungu, so now
you're actually going towards Mara. You know the Mara is wide. It borders a lot of Bomet. So Uhuru went to Sigor to launch it. Ruto went to Chebunyo to launch
the
it.
same road.
Murkomen last year went to a place called Kipsegon in the same road to launch it last year. To Crown Break.
Yes.
But
Now Ruto is gone to Crown Break.
See, the road has sections.
No,
Exactly.
which sections?
They are
Nothing
launching-
has happened.
it is launching
What I'm
a
talking about is the contractor coming on site to say we want to start.
Yes.
And then they leave. Another person comes. Uhuru goes. They launch like that
Are you saying
Uhuru launched
that-
in Cebu,
in Sigor.
in Sigor.
Uh-huh.
Are you saying there's no work that has happened from Sigor to the
They
next
start
place?
a little bit like this and then they go. Then it will be groundbreaking again.
Okay,
That
so
they
that-
did
so
start well. And they will explain that the contractor which was on site did not see do what. And of course, it was the failure by government to put resources, which you heard Murkomen say in Senate yesterday, that they have a pending bill of 60 billion, something like that. And they are trying to use even the infrastructure bond to raise it. And that is actually the reason what informs the currency, the Kenya shillings coming low. It's actually the two things. One is investor confidence, and two, the success now after the investment confidence on the infrastructure bond.
Aye, now back to Ndu's question.
Now, let me complete. Then they went and so Bomet. What do you expect from a common manager that you told him that your problems at the border level will be addressed? Then you increase the cost of fuel, and they have been claiming they didn't increase. They've increased the VAT just alone from 8% to 16%. That alone amounts to a lot. You know, we are already paying so much. Out of the 180 or 200 Kenya shillings of petrol or diesel, almost 80 shillings or more than is tax.
It's tax.
There are about 9 tax in every petrol, in every diesel. So what I mean, that common manager, you told him that your problems will be addressed. We will address it from the bottom. The dynasties have been in control. That's why they are not sensitive to your issues. They don't know when you sleep without food. We know.
So when
They don't know when you
then-
lack employment.
So when you bring an issue forward, if the president happens to be in your area, and you now say, well, hold this individual accountable, and it comes out in the form of heckling, or it comes out in the form of whatever you want to call it, are folks justified for doing that?
You see, what do you expect the common manager to do? You have no other platform. You have sent a member of parliament. He has been given some 100,000 and given a trip to Malaysia one. The brain stopped.
But
And
the people are heckling governors.
no, why are they heckling in the presence of the president? And when you know the governors are performing duties now,
Yeah.
Have you seen any news of one of them being heckled anywhere? Why is it that when the president is there?
They're only heckling the governors when the president is there.
Why?
Because
They
maybe
are
that's-
sending a message.
maybe that's the only
even
time when the
including the
governors are
time
there.
of immemorial when Moi used to be our president. They were, you remember, they used to say the Biwot is problem. But they are actually targeting Moi. Which to me, it means they must respect the presidency. They're actually showing, we respect you. But in any case, you are the one who should be booed.
Alfred Keter, former MP for Nandi Hills, candidate for leader of official opposition.
And the presidency.
and the presidency is our guest. So, Alfred, this heckling story and the booing, we saw it in Meru, we've seen it in some parts of Central, we've seen it now recently when the president was in the South Rift, in several counties, but not in all. The heckling has not been happening in all areas where you can say that then the people are sending a message to the president. It's specific leaders who are being heckled. When the deputy president speaks, no heckling. When other members speak, no heckling. When other cabinet ministers speak, no heckling. When visiting MPs speak, no heckling. When a governor speaks, heckling happens. Are you saying that message is...
It is clear. It is being sent to the presidency. You see, these governors are even, I know the governor of Kericho, the governor of Bomet, they are not that unpopular. Let me remind you, there was a cabinet secretary who was booed.
Yes.
Chirchir, even Murkomen. They have put, I think, almost 5 or 6 of cabinet secretaries, many. Like Chirchir. Chirchir is not a leader from Bomet. He's not, elected leader in Bomet. He's a cabinet secretary. He's an appointee by the president, approved by parliament. This message is clear. People are tired. They only respect the presidency. That's why they're not bowing to that level. But if they continue this way, I will not be surprised that it can get to the right direction. Kenyans are tired. This is the worst government since independence. And I will say without, I have a lot of, I believe. Because you see,
what are you using to gauge that?
Even when you start gauging by the cabinet.
What, 16
Compare 63, the cabinet in 63. I know I'm too young, but I lived in, I think 2 years of Kenyatta before Moi. But I remember, it is history. It is in our books of history. It's clear. The cabinet secretaries in Kenyatta government, if you were to compare with what we have now, this is not even deserving to be a county executive members of any county.
So comparison is comparison.
If you were to compare,
hold on. Is comparison what feeds then that opinion of yours? That if you compare what happened or what was done between that time and this is what feeds your opinion of what you've just said. Can I ask what those things were? If you look at the same time period under former late President Moi, and then the current period under President William Ruto and his cabinet secretaries and what they did, ministers at that time, cabinet secretaries now, what was it that was done that you can say, well, okay, if I compare the two, then this lot, as you've said, then is, what word did you use?
I didn't see them, I didn't see Moi going to, what were you calling? This not launching.
Groundbreaking.
A project 5 times. Moi, even if we were to compare what we have in Rift Valley, just to compare what we have in Rift Valley, what Moi brought to our community, which has changed the lives of many Kenyans, including Ugandans and Rwandese and Burundians and Ethiopians. Moi Referral Hospital. That was a presidency of Moi. Moi University. President Moi. Moi International Airport. President Moi. Kapsabet Boys High School. President Moi. Kapsabet Girls High School. President Moi. Teriga High School. President Moi. My own Olesos Technical Institute, which is the biggest in Kenya in terms of infrastructure and everything. It is actually to be meant to be a national polytechnic. It qualifies in it has over 10,000 students. It is amazing. I will take a long time to explain. If you compare what Kibaki did, Kibaki is the reason he created all these institutions. Like now, what you have as Kera, he classified roads. And that is the reason why roads, we've moved. We are better off than most of our neighboring countries in terms of the road infrastructure. When you see Thika Highway and the many other roads, we are opened up. At least there is a tarmac in every county. It gets to every county. We used to have roads in a small section of this republic. Electricity used to be for the rich. I grew up in the rural setup where it was meant for member of parliament and some managing director.
And you.
And they used to use one transformer. In the whole community, one transformer. And you have you cannot even apply, you cannot even imagine. When you imagine, it was a treason. What I'm saying, Kibaki transformed this country. Free primary education. And that is why the same electors who are heckling them and booing them are informed. They know what you said in your manifesto, which you are not implementing as you promised. They spoke about our mothers when they gave birth. Within the first 3 months or so, the diapers were free. The sanitary towels were free for gas. Is that happening? No. The gas was to be what? They said free gas. Then they said a free mutungi. They amended it. But all those things are fake promises. You know, this is the only time where you find a whole presidency lying on live TV, including going against contradicting the offices which are created by in the constitution, like KRA. KRA comes up with this information that we are collecting badly, we are doing badly. He says, no, I know, not the KRA. Many occasions, even when you are on live, when you are hosting him, I remember when we was being interrogated by many journalists, the last he did address the nation, he was being asked a question like, Ndungu is telling us that the economy is not doing well. No one asked Ndungu, ask me. Really? That is a cabinet secretary in charge of treasury. And you're saying you know better than the cabinet secretary in charge of treasury? Let me explain even this myth called the housing, which is because it is a constitutional provision, which is a right to housing, they are addressing it. There is right to life and property. What is happening in Baringo now as we speak? Thousands of families have moved 50 kilometers away. There are children who have been denied the right to live because they were killed. Others have been denied the right to education because they've moved. They don't have schools. The right to food, all the rights. And you know, that's a small section of Kenya. If you mean well about this housing, why don't you address that? And you see, these people did not come from the moon, as they claim. Like we found empty coffers. These people, the deputy president, the president was a deputy president in the previous regime. He knew the challenges that we are having. And you see, when you come here to tell us that you are trying to really help us, you are part of that regime where you used to tell us National Youth Service is doing some programs in slum upgrading to clean up our cities. What was it intended as a what? A scandal. And I spoke about it. It was going to be a scandal. They defended it that time, including his entire cabinet ministers. Let me not mention their names because they are about the entire cabinet. But I just want to say, these are the people who defended the ills of the previous regime. And now, they are claiming they are not part of that regime. But when they see a good thing, which happened
they
that time, like last mile, where Uhuru helped to connect electricity all over, they are part of it. When they see anything, they are launching programs. They've gone to launch Uhuru's projects all over. Roads, completion of many things, even technical institutes. You know why even Kenyans are tired? Because they are not launching anything new. They are either doing groundbreaking for something that has been groundbroken 5 times. I don't know why these grounds are hard, that it must take a whole president 3 times or 4 times to re-break it for it to happen. You see, it is ridiculous. Those things that are happening like that is making the president lose the respect that he deserves as an office.
So what should happen? What would you recommend?
I would recommend whatever you promise, stick to it. You had a manifesto. You believed in bringing the lives of our people from the approach you called bottom-up, which I have told you. I can demonstrate. It cannot work. I'm a very good student of economics. It is impossible. Even from the fuel. You know, fuel, in first world countries, the one I've mentioned, and I want city, try to go to Norway because you want to see. Just go to Oslo, Norway, and leave your phone. If you lose, I'll buy you 4 phones.
Bus.
iPhone 15. But let me get back to because we have to save time. What I'm saying, stick to what you promised.
Stick to what you promised. Now the issue then is accountability, and you're saying, I mean,
and again,
we don't even have somebody who's checking.
We should have Parliament to act as an independent constitution as per the provisions of the constitution.
How can we make our parliamentarians,
the members of parliament, the Wananchi themselves, they must elect people who are independent in thinking?
Okay, we elected them,
But we elect them.
and we thought that they're independent in thinking.
Then we find out that they're not.
Then we find that a lunch.
Then, as you said,
and
they
a
went to
car.
Malaysia.
But there are recall,
But
provisions.
you know what you did with the recall clause.
Yeah. It was messed up in parliament.
Yes.
Yeah, they were trying to protect themselves.
So now,
but I just want to say,
now as Kenyans, you and I now are equal, right? We are uko inje. We are the hustler proper. What can we do to make sure that those that we've put in offices of responsibility do their job, from members of parliament to the presidency?
what we should do is what I'm doing now to advocacy. At the same time, those common Wananchi, they have no platform. I know they've been doing a good job, like telling them, reminding them in rallies that you didn't come to do anything here. You are groundbreaking a road that it was groundbroken 3 times. This is the 4th time. Let them know that you have issues. That is important. But to the leadership, the president should dissolve his entire cabinet to come up with a fresh, if he wants to help this country. But as things I've seen, the way even at some stage the media were raising issues of concern about one of the CSS, and the president defended. I know him. You might think he looks like he's a strong person that he can stand against what. But when on a closer look, he fears those cabinet secretaries.
Well, he's the one who appointed them.
But he appointed them.
He fears for some reason we don't know. You know, they have come a long way in their many things they have done together that he like, can I really offend you? At the expense of the country. Let me tell you, how did they exist in the first place? Why are they sitting there? Including those who went to sit as permanent secretaries. You know, there is something that I did not mention. That's part of the biggest failure of this government.
PSS.
Out of the 52, almost 30 are not career civil servants. You know, that's a reserve for career civil servants. People who have grown through the ranks so that you understand a ministry. You know, you're actually the accountant of a ministry. If a ministry, accounting officer of any ministry, because you understand the nitty-gritties and everything, the challenges, the cartels who are in the ministry and everything. Yeah. So you can address better. But a stranger, a former politician who ran and lost an election, you make them because you want to like compensate or to reward him or to permanent secretary position, which is a public service. It's a public service sector. Even the PSS.
So
it should come
should
from the
people
public
who
service
have experience.
Yeah,
in the civil service.
Yeah, that's the point I'm making here. Can you just take your time? It is in public domain. Read the 52, and there are clauses on public service where you must have to represent all communities. Let me explain what I have noticed with the current permanent secretaries. The Kisii community makes a good number of this country. They sit in 2 counties and they're in Nairobi, Nakuru, wherever. The Kisii community, I'm talking about the Kisii community. But they are not in, there is none as permanent secretary. Out of 52, imagine. A whole community.
Yeah. I have to ask this, because when we look at, and one of the things that you said at the beginning of this was that, you know, the position of, you know, the leader of the opposition, and we know the areas around which such a position would require one to act or behave. What do you think could, because I think it's easy at some level to be able to point fingers and say, look, this is going wrong, this is going wrong. It's easy to do, no matter how aggrieved one would feel. But here, in the position of the leader of opposition, certain accountability measures that you hold an executive to, right? What would you do? What kind of agitation do you think is required? Or what do you think you would institute to then be able to say, look, we're going to hold these guys up to account. We're going to keep them on their toes. We're going to make sure that they're doing what they said they would do and what they ought to do in a position of leadership. What would that be?
We do many things. Like we do rallies and explain to the Wananchi because they're our bosses. They bring a lot of hostility, they will reason. You know, politicians want to be re-elected. Bring a lot of hostility, they will come back to their senses. Number 2, use the courts. Like this housing levy, I'm one of the people. I've seen they're saying about 15 or so. I'm going to court, and many others will go, because there are many articles of the Constitution which they have breached. It is unconstitutional. The entire...
so use the courts.
We have used the courts. And I want to urge the courts to remain independent. And that is one of the reasons that I've raised about Parliament. We have many other independent institutions, including even some offices which are protected by law. You know, the commissions are protected by the law.
Yeah.
And 2 other offices, independent offices, the Auditor General and the Control of Budget. They're all protected by law. And all of them have been raising concern. Every 4 months, Control of Budget tables a report in Parliament, which should be interrogated. And they don't interrogate. That's another issue. It should be taken to court to say, these are some of the issues which are raised by Control of Budget. Some are raised every 1 year, within 6 months after the lapse of a financial year. The Auditor General is mandated and obligated by law to audit and report back, either to anything concerning a county, to the county assemblies, and the rest to the National Assembly and Parliament. But they are raising many issues. I've already told you, they have raised one last week, or when, it is this week, on matters of land grabbing, which is happening in our institutions. We are losing land over 50 billion. It's a reality. What should we do? Let Parliament do their role and the mandate. And if they continue this way, I will lead 1 million people to come to town of CBD of Nairobi to explain to them. That is the only language they understand. We do a 1 million march, a peaceful demonstration for them to understand. Without heckling anyone, we stop everything, stand still. And I will do that if that is what
So basically, you're saying if those that we have delegated our authority to do not exercise it well, we take it back.
We take it back. That is Article 1 of our Constitution. The sovereignty is us. We delegate to them. If you have failed,
we take it.
We take it.
Many comments on social media. Some people agreeing with you, and somebody saying, "Eric, I'm at the scene now, and what Keter is saying is true. Nothing has been done. I think in terms of those roads, groundbreaking by 3 government officials. The road is from Kyogong, Sigor, Chebunyo
Yeah, that's what I said.
to Dikir."
Yeah, and that is where they were echoed. You know, this booing does not come from the moon. I saw the cabinet secretary in charge of security raising concern. Why are you booing, disrespecting the president? It's true, I don't like it. But address the genesis. It's like someone, you are there.
But do you think when people are booing and heckling like that, have they said exactly what their grievances are?
They have raised it. You see, when you go there, you already know. And you think they don't know. They will show in a way. Because you already know. Eric, if I was coming to Spice FM or KTN today, and then I come and sit here over something, and we agree. From today onwards, I'm painting this room. Then after a month, I'm coming again. And you see,
And
what they don't know,
say,
and I want to
"From
explain
today onwards, I'll paint the
this,
room."
the contractors even speak to the common wananchi. They are telling them, because they are like, are you know, the common wananchi are smart. I've told you they've gone to school. They are smart. On average, we have so many people who have gone to school, even graduates, architects, which this regime spoke about them. There are mamambogas who have a degree.
Yeah.
Many. There are borders who are architects, lawyers. You understand? So some of them engage these contractors and tell them, you were there last year, November, with Murkomen, groundbreaking this road. Why did you leave immediately after Murkomen left? Now, he will explain, no, there was no money now. And now, is there money? He smiles. Then the good ones, the good contractors will be like, in fact, you are better. So you are still going with the president to that other project. As we are living here now,
Going back.
immediately after the president leaves here, we are leaving. Let me explain what happened about 2 months ago when the president coined this issue of Taptengele, Finya computers to get money.
Yes.
He did it in Tindred, which is our neighboring constituency. In any case, it was one constituency, Tindred. And then it split it to Nandi. So I was the first member of parliament to in Nandi. And I give credit to my people who supported me to be the first member of parliament in Nandi. The same day, there's a road from Imaki to Nandi. When the president was in Tindred, some contractor with machines, everything was in Imaki. Then it was like the president is not coming to Imaki because it was hostile. They got a lot of hostility, worse than even what you saw in Bomet. The turnout was low. The people who were there was just sitting and watching. You remember that is when the deputy president spoke about why Alfred Keter, when he comes here, you are supporting him when he's critiquing
the government.
Why are you supporting him? And why are you members of parliament not even challenging him? The members of parliament didn't answer. They will not be given opportunity. When I go to any function in Rift Valley, members of parliament run for their lives because they cannot manage. The issues I will raise will resonate with the people, and they will not challenge me. I've done that many times. You've seen it was on national news. What I'm saying, because I resonate with the people, I know what their challenges are. So when they were in Tindred, there was a contractor posting like he wants to start something in Imaki because the president was to go through Nandis to Kapsabet. So the president didn't go through Nandis, the contractor left. So what are you telling those wananchi? Then you come back after 4 months and explain that there is hope. You know what this regime has lost? Not just.
So why are the contractors leaving?
They are leaving because there is no money.
What do you mean?
They are told, can you come by force? Or we leave you. You lose that contract. They are forced to attend because they're mobilizing their resources to come there, to pause as PR exercise. PR is real in this government. What they are doing, 95% is propaganda and PR.
95 is a bit high.
It is even 100. Sorry let me amend.
No, it can't be 100. I mean,
let me tell you, what have they achieved? Have you seen anything they have done? The only thing I saw a house over that
yes,
cliff.
I have seen things they have done. these houses that people keep complaining about, I have seen foundations laid. I have even seen walls coming up.
Yep.
And do you know why they have
So
interest?
it is not nothing.
The South Sea ones, you can see them.
Yes.
But can I explain?
Even in Bomet, I saw houses coming up. So it is not nothing.
Not in Bomet. The Bomet they were launching the
They
other
were
day. But let me explain, they were groundbreaking. It is not. Let me tell you, the reason why they are doing, have you asked yourself why? Because one, it is unconstitutional. It is illegal. It is irregular. It is irrational. It is not a priority. Why are they insisting? Because they have interest. They are the suppliers of materials. They are making money out of it. It's a tender to them. You think they are addressing the housing issue? If it is true they want to address the housing issue, why don't you address insecurity in Baringo? Why don't you just address? Why was the government so fast to address only 2 people who are purported to have heckled a presidential function? But you have not addressed someone who has taken life, displaced people, thousands in Baringo. I mean, you understand? There is a teacher, a blind teacher, who was killed in Baringo by bandits. There is a sitting member of county assembly. There is no replacement so far because of the challenges that we have with the IBC, which lost life in Samburu. Why don't you address these people who are taking lives? Why are you addressing someone who is heckling? Why don't you erase these people who are displacing people from their houses? Do you know what I mean? Baringo, there are over 50 schools which has been closed.
It's 50.
50. Ask the leaders there, they are crying like small babies. From the Senate up all the way to down. As you speak, there is a motion which was brought by the senator of Baringo. I was with him in Parliament. Honorable Cheptumo is a lawyer, an advocate. He brought a motion to declare banditry and cattle rustling as a national disaster.
Yep.
Yes.
Really? And then you are telling, let me give you an example. Instead of addressing that, they want to take our police officers to Haiti.
Yeah. Ile shida Haiti ni kubwa.
Haiti iko wapi kwanza? How many Kenyans have been there? I doubt even if the president has been there. No leader in this country. I can't.
Alfred, unajua ile shida Haiti ni kubwa bwana.
Ni shida gani? Kuna shida huko kushinda hapa.
Hii bandit tunaongea. Whole country iko bandit.
That we are losing and we are displacing families, and then we have the capacity. Let me tell you something. The same US government, which is giving you, they're actually giving, and that's what they're after. I've told you, there is every interest. When you see them moving and acting on anything, housing, there is an interest, a financial gain. If it is about Haiti, there is money being exchanged in form of tender. I saw the cabinet secretary the other day saying we need to buy equipment for the police because the money is coming from America. Americans are giving us money to have our police go to Haiti, which is closer to the US than Kenya. That's number one. Number two, they're even doubting our insecurity issues, saying we are not secure. That's why they're issuing red alerts, saying our American citizens, if you have some phones and jewelry, take care. Nairobi is insecure. Yeah? If Kenya is insecure and Americans, according to Americans, why are they giving us money to go to Haiti, which is closer to them than us? It is because of interest. It is sad to say that, but I'm saying on live TV, it is. And I want to say this.
Closing remarks.
As I close, the leadership of this country must know this fact, that we are here temporarily. We will be gone. The entire cabinet of Kenyatta, they left us long ago. The first parliament of 64, there are hardly 2 members of parliament who are still, former members of parliament who are still surviving. We are here and we will leave. And this greed that you are taking, you will not take it anywhere. By the time you die, remember the words of Alexander the Great. He said that you will never take anything. You will leave everything. And you will go down to the grave. Let us transform this country, or resign from your positions, allow others who have the willingness and the power and the conviction and the experience to change this country.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.